Hi, this is Lorene, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a minute to clear, center, and balance my energy, and we will get started. So, this week's been very interesting. Often over the weeks, I just get messages, and often I have to put messages together from, they're just kind of, what's the word I want? They're kind of provided in isolation, just a message here, a message there. And this past week, I think it's been very sequential in the information and how it's come in, very ordered. So one of the things I want to start with, though, is I was talking about Balky, who's my hybrid child, and I described him as having black hair, which he does now. And I wanted to correct myself because when he came to me 2 years ago, when he was a toddler, his skin was completely black. It is still completely black, like a very ebony, beautiful, silky type skin. But everything was black except for the whites of his eyes. But his hair was red, like a true redhead, if you want to stereotype a redhead, that red or orange colored hair. And when he came to me this 2 weeks ago, he just started coming in really strong, and he's come in this week also, this past week. He came in as a teenager, and his hair was black. And so I kind of came from that place. I don't know what I was thinking, but he was looking at me straight on, and he would engage me straight on. And so after I'd done the video, I had recalled, oh my goodness, he had red hair when he was a toddler, and now his hair's black. It's changed. And then I saw my uncle. I have an uncle who was born blonde hair, blue eyed. So as a little boy, he had blonde hair and blue eyes, my Uncle Larry. And as he got older, his hair darkened. And when I knew him, he had black hair. So he had black hair and blue eyes. And so that's what they showed me. And so what I feel was, as a toddler, he was born with red hair. As an infant, he was born with red hair. But as he grew older, like my uncle, or maybe some blondes, they'll start with really white or light hair, and then it gets darker as they get older. His hair got darker as it got older. So he did a profile like this, and I saw his black hair kind of slick back, and then a slight little kind of curl in the back, and the ends were red. So he was showing me that he still had some red in there, but eventually it would all be black. So I thought that was kind of neat. So I just wanted to clarify that, or correct that, because I misspoke in the last video. The other thing is, I took notes, but I didn't really write out anything again. And I think there's a lot of profound messages for me, and I'm going to figure out how to share those with you. One of the things that happened this week, which is sometimes it can be quite upsetting, but I talked about the number sequences that I would see, and there was the 3, 4, 5, 6 was skipped, and then it was 7, 7. So that 6 meant that one step would be skipped, but 7 would have to be doubled up. And I see these number sequences in the weirdest places. And then this past week, again, I saw 3, 4, 5, 7 doubled, then 8, then 9 doubled. And so they reiterated that initial number sequence and then took it a step further. So what that's telling me is I was correct in what I was saying regarding the 3, 4, 5, 6 skipped, 7, 7 sequence, what my interpretation of that was. And then there's further changes that will be made in the future. Also, if you notice, 7 and 9 are profound numbers in numerology, in angel numbers. And the 7 is a very magical, mystical, miracle number. And the 9 is a number for light workers. It means light workers need to wake up and start doing their light working. So anytime I get a message, there are multiple messages within that message. There are many layers. And so as I sit and as numbers come to me, I'll find more layers or more meaning in those numbers, in those sequences. So I wanted to share that. And it was upsetting because, just how does that happen? Where does it happen? I mean, I know there's synchronicities, but when they happen, sometimes they just upset me because I know what's happening. I know what's going to happen. I know a lot of how it's going to happen. And every time I get a confirmation that I'm right, it's just upsetting, I guess. It just upsets me because I would like to see things go in a different way and in an easier way. And right now, there's a lot of resistance to truth. There's a lot of resistance to change. And that just makes things difficult for everybody. So the other thing is, one of the messages that I received from me was just stop trying to live within the paradigms of this world. And then the other one is, no one else in the universe perceives time like we do. All time is now. And so those are really profound messages for me. And so what that tells me, first of all, is this spiritual awakening and change that I'm going through is so difficult. And as the information comes to me, and as I learn, grow, awaken, transition, transcend, as I transcend, I feel like I move away from this world. But what's happening is I'm connecting more with this world. I'm connecting more with Mother Earth. I'm connecting more with all the creatures, all the living energy, all the energy of this world and the universe. Because as Mother Earth's vibration rises, goes up to a higher frequency, I'm matching that frequency. So I am connecting even more with this world. Why I feel disconnected is because so many other humans on this world are not transcending. And so I'm disconnecting from those people because I don't perceive the world the way they do anymore. They're holding on to fear. And I've released fear. And I've accepted my role in the universe, and I've accepted this reality as it truly is. I'm not holding on to old ways, and the people who are holding on to old ways are not transcending. And I think that is very difficult for me. So I'm not separating as I transcend and change and release the paradigms. I'm not separating from this world. I'm just separating from the people who are not transcending. And that's an epiphany that came to me this week, and it's very, very difficult for me to process. Where I am now, there's a lot of oppression in Seattle, this fear-based lifestyle, people who are buying into the manipulation that's happening with the virus. And so I'm kind of being moved out of this place. And I'm feeling like I need to move out of this place physically. And I'm just, as I just tell my friends, I'm just waiting for the synchronicities to take me to where I need to be. And so I just sit and I center myself and I ask for guidance on what to do and how to do it, and ask for assistance in manifesting what I need to fulfill my purpose in this world. And as I ask this question, or as I make these requests, I have this energy come in, and it's an energy I have not seen before. And I have a picture, I drew a picture. The energy was benevolent and peaceful, but it looked like, if you've seen the fourth Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull, the beings, the crystal skull beings at the end, it looked very much like that. But at the end, they kind of had this scary look on their face. These energies are not scary. They're benevolent and peaceful and loving. And if I may, in the movie, I feel like that anger and that scary look on the face of that being of love and light was because of the woman who was like, I want the knowledge, I want the information, and she was coveting. And it wasn't about connecting with the divine in a way of peace and love and compassion, tolerance. It was more about power and control, because that's the paradigm she was living in. And I think that's where that response came from that being of love and light, of maybe disappointment, frustration, so I just wanted to say that. So when I was asking for guidance and help on next steps and what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to do it, and help me to maintain clear, centered, balanced energy, help me to maintain my vibration, help me to manifest what I need to fulfill my soul purpose. When I make these requests or I affirm things in this direction, or as I was affirming things in this direction or making requests, this energy came in, and it was very loving, and it says, think and it will come to be. That's what it said to me. Because I was like, how do I help Mother Earth change? How do I help Mother Earth to transition? How do I help people to awaken? How do I help in this transition? Because I know what's happening. And I want there to be as little suffering as possible. And so two things happened. One, this energy said to me, all I have to do is think and it will come to be. It will come into existence. I will manifest what I need into existence. That was the one thing. The other thing that kept coming to me was butterflies. I kept on seeing butterflies. And clearly it was about the life cycle of a butterfly. The caterpillar to the pupa to, the egg, caterpillar, pupa, and to the butterfly. And I kept on feeling this destruction that happens. So the egg turns into the caterpillar, and the caterpillar eats voraciously. And so this eating voraciously kind of is how this negative polarity kind of came into this world and just started voraciously coveting and taking as everything it possibly could. This sense of entitlement that this is mine and I can do with it what I choose. The caterpillar is more motivated by instinct. It needs to eat to get the nutrients it needs for the transformation that it's going to go through. So if you want to create a parallel, the caterpillar eats as much as it possibly can until it gets to a certain phase, then it goes into that pupa phase. Right now, Mother Earth has tolerated as much as it could. Humans have taken as much as it possibly can take from this earth. And now we're going into a transformation. Just as the caterpillar cocoons itself and then transforms into a butterfly, we are in this place of transformation. The caterpillar has cells that will create the legs and the wings and everything it needs to become a butterfly. So you can consider the energy in this world, the unconditional love that we carry within us, is the catalyst for the change that we are going through in this transition. As we transcend, that is our energy. That is the cells that we need. It's not a physical transition. This is a spiritual transition that we're going through. The caterpillar makes the physical transition. And it's a good metaphor. It's a good metaphor for what we're going through. Eventually, the caterpillar comes out of the chrysalis and it spreads its wings. It needs 3 to 4 hours for the wings to dry before it can fly. So eventually we're going to come out of this phase. We're going to take some time to like regroup, and then we'll fly. And so that was the message that came through almost right after I did the last video. I think it was Sunday or Monday. And it's pretty intense, to get those types of messages. And I have to say, as I channel and as I make requests for help in my life, and I had talked about a couple weeks ago, I had a really bad day at work, and as I requested help for how to deal with that situation and for messages on how to deal with it, literally the next day the answer would come, or within hours. So as I maintain this vibration and this centeredness, and always come from a place of honesty and sincerity and from the heart center, as I work towards manifesting what I need to fulfill my purpose, it just seems to come quicker and quicker. The turnaround time is much quicker. The other thing I wanted to talk about was going back to hybrid children. I wanted to talk about, so I was watching a movie about hybrid children. It was supposed to be based on a true story, and as I was watching it, I just felt like there's a lot of misinformation. But I think when these types of shows that come out, it's more about waking up people to the possibility. It's not necessarily about accuracy always. It's just kind of trying to help wake up people to the possibility. And so I wanted to talk about hybrid children because I got a lot of messages and information about them and what they're here to do. And this movie talked about these factions on Earth, or maybe even in the secret space program. They find it once they found out about the hybrid children, how they thought they would be a threat and how they thought that they would be coming to take over the Earth. And I think that's one of the problems within our I want to say our government, but within our existence, the compartmentalization of information. It could be within our government, within the military, within the secret space program, and all those organizations out there. But whenever somebody disagrees with whoever's in charge, there's a faction created, and it's compartmentalized, and there's another person in charge of this organization that's not supposed to exist. And so we have all these factions who think they're fighting to protect humanity or the United States or whatever government they're representing, and it all comes from fear. It all comes from fear, and it comes from ego, because someone thinks that they know better than the other person. There's no collaboration, there's just separation. So let me get back to the hybrid children. So as I've said, we are transcending. Earth we carry the depth and breadth of emotion. No other world in this universe carries the depth and breadth of emotion like humanity does here on Earth. And because of that, we are the heart center of the universe. And from this place, as we transcend, as we release the negative polarity, move into balance, those who transcend on this world, we are going to be the ripple effect out into the universe, and we will transcend the universe and unify divinity in the end. Divinity, God, the creator of all things, however you want to look at it, created this universe as to exist in a different way. We are all parts of that divine creator, of that divine energy, that source. It's one thing. It becomes many things when it fractures itself, fractals. Each of us are a piece of divinity. When we pass, we reunify. When we leave these bodies, we reunify with divinity. But we are all individual, but we are all unified. So this universe was created as a means for divinity to see itself from a different perspective. It started as a whole. It separated into duality, positive and negative. And eventually it will reunify as a whole. And from Earth, from the depth and breadth of emotion here on Earth, the depth and breadth of love, because divinity is pure love, from that place of love, we will create change in the universe, reunifying divinity from love. And that is why this world exists, why this world is transcending, and why it will transcend into balance. Why we're moving into the light, because we are so far in darkness. We have to move from pure light, pure love and light energy, back to center. Okay, back to balance. Because of this role that we have in the universe, we have to have connections to the universe. Our DNA, we're not an experiment. I keep on hearing that humanity is an experiment. We're not an experiment. We're necessary. We not only carry the depth and breadth of emotions, humanity, we will carry the depth and breadth of DNA within the universe, because we are the unifying force in the universe. This world is the unifying force within the universe. And as a result, in order for us to connect with the rest of the universe, we must be part of the rest of the universe. This is an awesome responsibility, but it's necessary for the completion of this existence, this universe's existence. It is necessary in order for divinity to reunify. So these children are created to carry the DNA. We have to, it's going to be a slow process. This is over millions, billions of years into the future, that we must unify the universe within our DNA. And so these hybrid children are part of that process of unifying the DNA. Okay? So then I have to go to, our concept of time is different than any other part of the place in the universe. And so we see the past, present, and future, but really all time is now. So when I say millions or billions of years, I have to qualify that by saying there are no millions and billions of years. There's only right now. And right now is eternity. But so the past, the future are all in the present. It's all being created in this moment. And time is, everything is relative. Time is relative. So I think I have to say that, and I have to let you try to start figuring out what that means and what that means for you, because to try to explain it in words, I think, is next to impossible if you haven't already been exposed to this concept. And like I said, a lot of times I get these communications telepathically, and there are no words to describe the message, but the information comes in and I understand the information that's coming in. And if there are no words to explain it, no words in English, then I really don't want to try to explain it, because I think I'd just destroy it. I think it would make it worse. So the children aren't coming to take over the earth. They're coming to be part of this world and help in the transition of the universe. It's inevitable that humanity will change. The only thing constant in the universe is change. We are not going to stay the same. Although this negative polarity needs to keep us the same to hold on control. If they allow us to transcend, nothing will go the way they planned. Well, nothing's going to go the way they planned. We are transcending. And so I want to talk about the Zeta Reticuli. That keeps coming in. I did a video in the past about them. They are part of this negative polarity on this earth. They did not want to transcend. They left this planet. And what they did is they cloned their bodies. They cloned the bodies. They used the DNA to clone the bodies, and they transferred their consciousness into these cloned bodies. They have not, if you can understand this or get your head around it, they didn't ever pass back to the light. When our bodies die, we pass and we reunify with divinity, and we decide, and then we move into another lifetime. These beings left Earth, they cloned their bodies, and they just transferred their consciousness into the new body. So they never reunified with divinity. So let's just say they've existed for 100 million years. And they've evolved. So they have all this technology, but they've never evolved spiritually. So spiritually, they're children. They may have all this fancy technology and fancy ray guns and fancy ships, but spiritually, they are children. They've come back to kind of fold in their DNA with ours, so because their race, their people, are dying because the cloning, their DNA is, how do you put it? How would I put it? I'm not sure what the language would be, because I'm not a geneticist, but it's deteriorating. So they won't be able to keep cloning themselves, and they will no longer exist soon. They are the result. They have created their own demise. In their arrogance, in their short-sightedness, they thought they could just exist in cloned bodies and transfer their consciousness and just maintain control. They have a very elaborate caste system, top to bottom, pyramid shaped. All the people who are at the top always are at the top. The people who are at the bottom are always at the bottom. And that's basically what they tried to create here on Earth. That's what's happening right now, is they're trying to create this elaborate caste system, keep them on top, this negative polarity on top, and all of us on the bottom as slaves. It's not going to happen. Since it didn't happen for them, they left this world, went to another place, and tried to maintain that caste system, that hierarchy. And they did it for a while, but eventually everyone must unify back with divinity. Everybody must return to the source. And so they've come back to fold their DNA in with ours. And in the video that I did, I said, it doesn't matter. They can fold in their DNA with ours, but until they have reached spiritual maturity, until they have passed to the light, reunified with divinity, incarnate, and move into balance, energetically, spiritually, find their way to live on the material plane in balance, their DNA will not become active. That DNA cannot be it's a low vibration DNA. Those parts that are being folded into humanity's DNA, they vibrate too low. And at a higher vibration, which is where we're going, it will not manifest into reality because the vibration is too low. And so until the beings who separated from humanity and became the Zeta Reticuli, until they pass back to the light, return to divinity, return to unity, and incarnate, balance their karma, raise their vibration, they will not exist in these bodies here on earth. Because these bodies here on earth, as we evolve, as we transcend, will eventually represent the reunification of divinity on the material plane. And when our evolution is complete, divinity's experience will be complete. And that will be a signal for the end of this universe and the rebirth of a new one. And so that's a pretty intense message that came to me this week also. But this week was riddled with intense messages. And the first message that came to me this week was stop trying to live within the paradigms of this world. So I have to stop trying to not be who I am. I have to stop trying to see myself as just Lorene, the Puerto Rican girl from Hayward, California. I have to see myself as evolved and changed and growing and having something I need to do in this world that is meaningful to create change and bring Mother Earth into balance. I have to move into that place. I have to see myself in that light, and I have to release all the paradigms that have made me feel less than in the past, or not worthy of such a task, not worthy of such a path, not worthy of such a feat. Because I've always said I'm unstoppable. Once I set my mind to something, I'm gonna do it, no matter what. And maybe that's why I was chosen. Maybe that's why this energy within this body was chosen. It's because once I set my sights on something and I know what it is I need to do, I'll do it. I'll find a way to do it no matter what. So that's pretty much been this week. It's been filled with a few very intense messages, but a lot of information about the transition of this world and what is going to happen. And give me a second. So, the message that just came in was Mother Earth provides, Father Son protects. And the being that came in and said, think and it will come to be, just said, just affirmed everything I said. Didn't really talk much, but just affirmed what I was saying. I saw beings around the earth, just kind of hands joined together, and there's a protective field around the earth right now. But also what I saw was the beings in the water. They symbolize, when they come in, I always seem to do this, and so that's telling me that they've come in. and they're present. The raptors are present. And there's a feeling of everybody's in their roles, everyone's doing their part. The people who have stepped out of line, it's okay. Because like I said, there's always an alternative plan. There's always an alternative means to make sure that things go in the direction they're meant to go. And I have to say, this whole past week, I felt a feeling of this negative polarity pulling back, understanding that it will not take this world, and trying to regroup and figure out, for those energies that don't have the means to leave this world, like with the Zeta Reticuli, that are having to stay here. They're trying to backpedal and figure out how they're going to remain here on Earth after all they've done, all the harm they've done, because they will deal with the consequences of their actions. The good thing for those energies are that they will be dealing with the consequences of their actions now, sooner than later. The Zeta Reticuli left and just postponed the inevitable. But I've felt that pullback of, okay, if we're going to be left behind to deal with the consequences of our actions, then let's try to mitigate that. That came in pretty strong. I think what's going on in Israel is tragic. I think what's going on in Israel is written in Revelation, and it is a very profound message of the end of tribulation. I think what's happening in Israel, for all the people dealing with that situation, there's going to be an incredible amount of abundance brought into their lives on this material plane, and those people who pass as a result will have an incredible amount of abundance brought to them in their next lifetimes. There is an incredible amount of gratitude from our divine creator that's being shared with those people as they move through this experience, which makes me feel very good and feel joy and happiness in my heart and soul, but also equally sadness for the fact that humanity has to go through this, and Israel has to go through this, and the people have to go through this. But it's a very profound sign for humanity. And so I think I'm just going to end with this. As I was sitting here asking if there's anything else I needed to share, behind me, all of Earth was covered in darkness, but in front of me, I saw the sun rising. Light coming up and shining in my face, and shining and bringing light to the darkness. That's a very nice vision. So I think I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you.